and my daughter, they told us she wouldn't live past a couple years old. Her diagnosis, what they told us was it's progressive and it's terminal. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until she dies. She had 16 surgeries. 14 of those were emergency surgeries by the age of 2. She didn't move, she didn't play, she was dying, and we were desperate to find something that would work for her. And we had no idea what to do, but we're Christians and we prayed and we asked God for answers. I healed my daughter from intestinal failure at 2.5 years old using the carnivore diet. She is 6 years old now and she is thriving. This is our story.
Hello and welcome, Carrie here from Healing Humanity, the Power of a Proper Human Diet. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed to welcome Jessica to the channel. Welcome, Jessica. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I am really looking forward to hearing your story. Maybe if we could start out, could you just kind of take us back and tell me like what sort of led you to this space?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, by the way. I really appreciate it. So my daughter is what led me to the carnivore diet. And she was born with a rare genetic mutation called MMIHS. And it causes intestinal failure. It is terminal, usually at a very young age. And it's incredibly complicated because what happens is the intestines don't squeeze properly. So they don't have the strength of a normal intestine. They have low tone, and that affects all of the smooth muscles. So large intestine, small intestine, bladder. And then because it's so rare, it's unclear if there are other organs that are involved. So right from birth, we got her diagnosis because she had a really huge distended bladder and she was in complete urinary retention. So she did pretty well breastfeeding, but we always had this looming knowing that once she started solids, she was going to get worse. And that's exactly what happened. So once she started solids, we are a pretty healthy family, or so we thought. We were feeding her, chicken and lean meat and vegetables and fruits. And very quickly, she started to have what's called pseudo-obstructions. So it's where the gas in your intestines builds up so much and makes the intestines so dilated that it can't move. So it actually acts like a physical obstruction, like you swallowed a golf ball. And it's life-threatening. She started having them like weekly. Every time she would eat a big meal, she would go into a pseudo-obstructive state. And we had no idea what to do, but we're Christians and we prayed and we asked God for answers. And it was really like at the 11th hour that he came to our rescue and we found Carnivore because she had 16 surgeries. 14 of those were emergency surgeries by the age of 2. And she was 26 pounds. So my 1-year-old weighs more than she did at the time. And she had a port in her chest. So she was 100% dependent on IV nutrition, couldn't eat anything orally, and her stomach was huge all the time, very skinny limbs. She looked like, if you've seen documentaries of starving kids in Africa, that's how she looked all the time, but so pale and gray and frail. She didn't move, she didn't play, she was dying, and we were desperate to find something that would work for her, but we had faith that we would find it, and thank God we did.
Wow. Just man, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I've had a lot of suffering personally, but I'm like, I'm a grown man, but a child going through that, I just can't imagine. And then as parents, how did you come across carnivore?
So we have a very close friend who is an awesome guy. His name is Amut, and he kept telling us about Candida and kind of like hinting like maybe she has issues with Candida. And I didn't know anything about it, but I just kept getting this very strong feeling like that had something to do with it. So I started researching Candida like big time. Now, I was a vegan in college, so this was a huge shift for me. But my husband is a bodybuilder. He's always been a bodybuilder, and he had done the Hollywood physique diet like back in the day, which is just spinach, eggs, and fatty meat. So he already knew you could live without carbs, but I didn't. So this was like very new to me. Um, I was researching Candida, and I was just up all night every night with her because she was vomiting, and just like I was managing her pumps, her TPN pumps at night, making sure there was no air in the line. Like it was all very high risk stuff that was happening. Um, and I came across an article by Dr. Becky Plotner, who's a naturopath, and she had an article about Candida and how it causes a lot of gas. And I was like, okay, here's finally some kind of resource. It's really hard to find any type of information on it or how to cure it, because originally a lot of the information I was finding, especially from like functional medicine doctors and other natural health practitioners, talks about using herbs to cure this copious amount of gas. Like her big distended belly was just all gas, and it's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, is, and I see that very commonly with people with carnivore. Um, so I came across her article, and her website didn't have a way to contact her. So I like desperately found her on Facebook and was like, please help me. And we were actually in the hospital. She was having emergency surgery when we had the first appointment with her. And she told us about the GAPS diet. Now, the GAPS diet is wonderful. It was created by this brilliant doctor named Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, and she created it to heal her son of autism. She used over 800 medical studies in the creation of this diet protocol. However, for the most sensitive of patients who don't tolerate fiber, her diet does include vegetables and fruits in the later stages. But for my daughter, I knew that wouldn't work. So I asked Becky, could we do this without the vegetables, without the plants? Would she still get enough? And she was like, yes. So there's a version of the protocol called the no plant GAPS diet, which is carnivore, but it's very specific and it's tailored to the most extreme of cases. So this protocol already existed, and I was able to just read the book and put her on the diet. And within 2 months, so she was 26 pounds, not playing, not eating, not showing any emotion, not talking, and she was 2.5 years old. And then within 2 months, she gained 10 pounds. She was like chubby and cute, and she had red cheeks and pink lips, and all of her distension, it was like her belly just deflated permanently. Now, at first, it did increase the gas because all the yeast was dying and releasing all the gas and everything. She felt terrible the first 2 weeks from all of the die off. So we had to keep her on rice just a tiny bit so it wouldn't be, too much die off at once. But after that period, she has just been a happy, healthy kid ever since. And she's almost 6 now. And she is like absolutely the light of our lives. She is so strong, and she does the monkey bars. She rides her bike every day. And she's so smart, and she's very emotionally intelligent because of everything that she's gone through. And she has this like self-control that most adults don't have. Since that time, she's never eaten a wrong food because she knows what the consequences are. And I've explained to her, if you eat the wrong thing, it could end your life. So we have to be really careful. And she's so good. She sees her brother eating fruit sometimes, has never touched it, never asked for it, nothing.
So from a terminal diagnosis, multiple surgeries, to just thriving now for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That's
No
just
hospital trips, no nothing. She got her central line removed completely, It's been gone for almost 3 years now. It's amazing.
I just want to say too, good job to you and your husband because obviously any parent in your situation would want to do anything for their child, but I think it would be hard for a lot of people to find the solution that you found, and then maybe even if they found it, like, this is kind of crazy. Like, I can't. This doesn't make sense. Like, I imagine. Did you get any help from the traditional doctors? Were they just like, this is a terminal diagnosis. There's not much we can do, or were there any medications or anything they offered at all?
My name is Carrie. I'm filming a documentary called Healing Humanity. And if you want to see more stories like the story you're watching right now, please help us out. Our project is entirely crowdfunded. I've been working on it for 2 years now. We want to get more stories like this from all around the world. Please donate at donate.healinghumanity.movie. Every penny goes towards the documentary. I've been working on this for 2 years now. I haven't taken a single paycheck, and I never will. Our goal is to reach millions of people who are hopeless in the world. We're doing a documentary, we're doing a series. If you want to support us, please donate or join our membership site so we can support you. $15 for your first month, special offer in the description below. Sign up for our newsletter, buy our merchandise, our Healing Humanity shirts, and all of those proceeds go 100% towards our documentary. Thank you so much. Now back to today's video.
They did offer medication, but I had done a lot of research and I also spoke to a lot of parents. There's a Facebook group that has pretty much all of us in it, from all around the world. And a lot of the other parents had said that the motility medication that they offer burns out the intestines, essentially. So within a matter of years, these kids need intestinal transplants, which are very new, very high risk, and it's also extremely hard to find a donor because we're talking about a child. So organs that need to fit inside of a child's abdomen have to be from another child. And generally, you don't get intact organs in a child donor. And then it's a very specific fit for the blood work and everything. Like it has to be a very close match versus like a liver or kidneys is a lot easier to match to someone. But so much of our neurological system and our immune system exists in our gut. It's a very hard thing to achieve. And then the rejection rate is very high. So it wasn't something that we wanted to pursue that way or the medication route because we just knew that it wasn't a long-term fix. Her doctors did. I pushed very hard, and I really put up a fight because I wanted to find the root cause and address it, which was the gas. And I knew if we could just stop the gas, we could stop the pseudo obstructions, and she could have a normal life. And that's exactly what we did on Carnivore. And now I have a wonderful relationship with her doctors. I just spoke to them a couple weeks ago and gave a presentation on the other kids that I've been working with, all 6 of them. All of them are improving, and they're floored. They're actually listening and excited. I think because it's been so many years that this has been going on, and now we have other cases that we've been able to show improvement with. They asked me to speak at CHOP, so I'm going to do a presentation again to the whole team, hopefully sometime soon.
That's incredible. That's amazing. I'm so fortunate with this documentary. I've got to interview a lot of good doctors. I've had bad experiences with doctors, but Dr. Ken Berry, I remember him saying a couple of times, he's like, if your doctor's good, your doctor's bad, it doesn't matter. Just tell them if you're doing carnivore and it's healing you, tell them because if they hear the message enough, and it's so cool that the doctors you're talking to are actually listening and maybe willing to treat the root cause. What do you think? Like, how do you think this has helped your daughter with her particular condition? Like, why would carnivore fix something like that for her?
Yeah, so the way it works, especially with like no plant gaps in particular. So at first, she didn't tolerate beef. So this is a problem, right? The first thing that we tried to start giving her is beef broth, beef liver. And it was too cleansing for her. She was just having like massive amounts of diarrhea because her body was like, oh, let's grab up all the nutrients and heal quickly. And unfortunately, we just couldn't go that quickly with her. So on the No Plant Gaps diet, you start with meat that is less nutritious, less healing, but it starts the process more gently for the child. So we were ordering chicken from Amish farm and making huge pots. Now she has a feeding tube, and because she was failure to thrive, she doesn't have a great appetite. It's gotten better over the years, but she wasn't eating back then. So we make her G-tube feeds from scratch. So we make carnivore G-tube feeds, and we just boil huge pots. We were doing chicken. Boil huge pots of chicken, debone it all with the organs and everything, and then blend it and put it in her feeding tube. Then we slowly added in egg yolks. And then once her liver cleaned out, let me tell you, people talk about gallstones, liver stones, cirrhosis of the liver. Fat will clean your liver. She had gallstones come out that were like the size of my thumb. She never had any pain from passing them, but she had so many stones in her liver and her gallbladder from the TPN. So those cleaned out. And the thing about the meat, because it's not fermentable, it cannot feed pathogens. So she had parasites, lots of parasites come out. They were dying because there was nothing to feed them in her body. And then the yeast came out, and there was nothing else to create gas in her intestines, nothing to ferment. So that's what stopped the pseudo-obstructions for her particular diagnosis. And like chronic intestinal pseudo-obstruction is a pretty common diagnosis compared to the genetic diagnosis of MMIHS. So that's one of the symptoms of MMIHS is CIPO. And I know other people who have that diagnosis who do carnivore. One has been on carnivore for 10 years and she's doing amazing, whereas she was dying before. So it's really the core of why it works so well for her is because it's not fermenting. There's nothing to ferment. And then the other thing is we don't give any dairy that is not fermented. So anything going into her gut that is fermentable, we pre-ferment it. So we make homemade yogurt that is fermented for 24 hours, or kefir that is fermented 24 hours or more. I'll let it go like 48 sometimes. It's super sour, but it tastes good to me. And sour cream, that's the other one. So that's all part of the No Plant Gaps protocol, is everything that goes in is already fermented, can't feed pathogens, and it will kill any pathogens that are left over.
That's amazing. How has this changed, or has it changed yourself or your family? Like, have you guys changed your diet as a result of what your daughter went through?
Yeah, I have a lot of autoimmune issues myself, which is probably, where her diagnosis came from, because my husband and I are not carriers of this gene. It's a random mutation for her. So our other two boys don't have it. But we all eat. I did my last pregnancy with my third child, No Plant Gaps the whole time, and through delivery and through breastfeeding. And it was my easiest pregnancy and easiest delivery by far. I was able to have a home birth. My labor was an hour and a half, and I got right up after giving birth and was able to walk around. I felt strong, versus like when I gave birth to her, I was comatose for like a week. I couldn't even stand up. I was so weak. I actually passed out at the hospital, and I woke up to smelling salts because the nurses were trying to make me walk and I couldn't. So it has made me a lot stronger. I finally got back in the gym after having my son just recently, and I thought it was always normal to have that feeling like you're going to pass out all the time, but especially when you work out. And it turns out it's not, because I don't have it anymore after doing carnivore for so long. My husband has been doing it too. He looks amazing, is super healthy, and he lost a bunch of weight because we both, after we had our daughter, put on a bunch of weight. We were eating standard American, like pizzas. We weren't feeding that stuff to her, but we were eating it. So he lost all that weight and looks and feels amazing. And then our other two boys, they do mostly carnivore. They do eat fruit and vegetables, but we always do protein first. give them just their protein, and then they can have whatever is whatever they're still hungry for after that.
That's great. Just out of curiosity, this is a hard question because as parents, we're usually biased to our kids, but I've interviewed several carnivore parents. I mentioned Dr. Barry before. We just recently interviewed him again for a documentary, and I was asking about his kids. His kids eat similar, I think, to yours, mostly carnivore, but they have some fruit and stuff like that, ketovore. But he was saying like they're going to need a separate division for these kids. They're just outperforming like their cognitive ability, their ability to pay attention, not bouncing around, and then just like in athletics too. He said, I know I'm biased because they're my kids, but I feel like they're going to need a separate division for these proper human children that are eating keto carnivore. Do you feel that way with your kids as well?
Yeah, my last son, who is 13 months now, by the time he was, I think, 3 or 4 months old, he was 18 pounds.
Hmm.
And my daughter didn't weigh that much till she was a year old. So he got this huge boost in like having a mom who was carnivore and then breastfeeding carnivore. And then my 3-year-old he's just a madman. Like by the time he was 9 months old, we could put him on a bar and he would hold the bar and hold himself up.
Wow.
And we would catch him obviously, but he is incredibly strong. Like his grip strength, his tone, he's solid. But all of my kids too, yes, they are not hyperactive. They have a lot of energy, but cognitively, they will sit down and work on something for 45 minutes. And, you know, we also try to limit screens as much as possible. We're not like crazy, but we try to keep the TV off most of the day and get outside. And we homeschool. So I think that helps too. But yeah, I definitely think they're ahead of the game. They also don't really get sick at all. All three of them, they had like their first fever a month ago, and I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe it. But it's a good thing, right? Like it's good when they have a fever because their body is fighting the infections. We just let it run its course and kept them comfortable and safe, you know.
Right. Can you talk a little bit, you mentioned this earlier, but you're going on to help other children that had the same health issues your daughter did?
Yeah. So the one doctor from CHOP, she went to a conference, an MMIHS conference in Italy, and I forget where the other one was, but she spoke at 2 conferences and talked about my daughter's case and talked about, I just wrote a book that was released in October about her story. So she mentioned the book, and these parents that were at the conference found me from the book, reached out. I started working with them. So there's the one little boy who's doing the best is in Tennessee, and his parents, all these parents are amazing because they're not only doing all the medical care that their kids require, they're doing the no plant GAPS diet, which is the hardest version of the diet to execute, right? Like even doing the regular GAPS diet with a somewhat healthy kid is very difficult. So props to them. They are superhuman, these parents. And the one little boy his mom came to me in December of 2024, and it's May now. She texted me the other day. He was 49 pounds when we met. He was 7. He was in the hospital for 40 days, and he was so thin that it was hard to look at him because his body was just so weak. He was pale, huge tummy, dark circles under the eyes, very drawn face. And he was, like I said, 49 pounds. That's what my daughter weighs. She's 5. And the other day she texted me, he's 61 pounds. So he gained 12 pounds since we started him on the no plant GAPS diet. The doctors pulled him off of the processed G-tube feeds that he was getting because he improved so quickly. So that was their choice. And I always tell families that, like, when kids are on IV nutrition or they're on the processed G-tube feeds, the doctors really, when they see the kids improving, they take them off. So that's awesome. And the doctors have to handle that piece because all of our kids have ileostomies. So they have like the bag on their stomach that you empty. So they need the electrolyte management from the doctors. But once they go on no plant gaps and they're getting all of this bone broth, it actually stops the need for electrolyte replacement because all your electrolytes are in the broth.
Hmm.
So he's improved tremendously. His mom said that he told her he feels the best he's ever felt in his life. He's playing sports. He's not vomiting through the night anymore. He used to vomit 2 or 3 times every single night. He's not doing that. And his tummy distension is gone. And she said he has the appetite of a grown man. So that's great news.
Wow.
It's really incredible. There's a couple other cases, but the other case that I'm just got great news from is in Italy. She has the worst phenotype. So like MMIHS is a spectrum, and my daughter is on the very severe end. And there's only one phenotype that's worse than her, and that's the one that this little girl has. Now, when we met, she had never experienced intestinal motility in her life. So her intestines never worked well enough to push the bile from her stomach through. So her stomach was just draining green bile all the time. She never got any nutrition from breast milk or any food. It has always been TPN through her port. She started 2 months ago on strict no plant gaps and using the frequency machine I was telling you about. And she has motility for the first time in her life. She's digesting food. She's digesting the meat and the broth. And her doctors started weaning down her IV nutrition.
That's incredible.
It's like literal miracles. And of
Right.
course, I get like teary-eyed when I get these text messages because I just can't believe that it's happening. But people want to talk a bunch of things about the carnivore diet and say it's just trendy, like keto was, but this is completely different because meat is so digestible because it's the food we're supposed to eat. So
Yeah.
even these kids who have, this little girl had intestinal failure from birth. I don't know anyone with her phenotype who's lived past 3 years old.
Hmm.
And now she has a real chance at life, and my daughter, they told us she wouldn't live past a couple years old. They said the same about this little boy. All of them well, especially my daughter and this little boy, I don't see them having a problem living a long, normal life because we've eliminated the risk factor. The thing that takes these kids out is the pseudo-obstructions, and they're gone. So it's really incredible.
It's a miracle, like you just said. It's absolutely incredible. Gets me emotional just thinking about it. I don't know, just children suffering like that. There's just nothing worse in the world. But then to be able to find healing, and then you share your story, and that the ripple effect your daughter's journey is having is just incredible. Now these children that are finding healing are probably going to help others. It's also just eye-opening too, like you mentioned. I get a lot of people that say, I have found a lot of healing through carnivore, mainly through I had horrible depression for like 15 years. I was on every medication and it's completely gone on carnivore. A million other things healed. But people always tell me like, Carrie, that only happened because you got rid of the junk food. And I'm like, no, that's a big part of it. Of course, the junk food isn't good,
Mm-hmm.
but getting that fatty meat, there's something to it. It's more than just getting. It's more than the absence of junk food. It's getting that fatty meat. It's like it's digestible. It doesn't ferment like you said as well. And I just feel like for me, my hormones, everything like that was just completely out of whack until I got that back, and it just feels like everything rebalanced from there.
Yeah, people don't realize that you actually need cholesterol to manufacture hormones in your body. And
Yeah.
when you don't have enough cholesterol or fat, and it only comes from animal fats, when you don't have enough animal fats, you can't make happy hormones. You can't make any hormones. You can't make growth hormones for children. So once you add that back in, your body just drinks it up and is like, okay, let's make hormones. Let's make happy hormones. Let's make
I,
testosterone.
I felt like my body was like, yes, finally you figured it out. But I've talked to interviewed so many carnivores in the meantime. hundreds of them at this point between the YouTube channel and the documentary we're working on, and they all had that same thing. It was like once I got that fatty meat back, it was just you could feel the hormones balancing, the sleep improved, which is related to the hormones, immune system getting stronger, testosterone going up. It's such like common sense too if you just take a big step back and look at it. You look around in the world right now, and fertility rates are dismal.
Yeah.
Men getting like hormone replacement therapy and depression rates. It's grim what's going on out there, and it's all related. It's just like the puzzle pieces fit perfectly together for that. But
Hmm.
does this has had to have changed your whole sort of perspective? Like, you did this healing for your daughter, but do you look at the world differently now? There's so many sick people walking around in the world, and so much of it is just nutrition.
Yeah, I do. I have people come to me for all sorts of things. I see clients privately, and I think that faith is like the biggest piece of it for me, and how I see it for a lot of other people. Um, Really, the only reason why I keep doing what I do is because I called out to God when my daughter was dying, and um, I humbled myself. And I was not a Christian before she was born. I was kind of lost in the new age and, all of that kind of stuff. I'm spiritual, not religious. That's where I was. And I said to God, like, please just help me heal her. And I saw this story on maybe it was a podcast, a Christian podcast, but there were these missionaries and they wanted to go to this island. But the island it was under like military law. So if you went to the island, you could not leave. You were going to give your life to be a missionary on this island, and you were going to be a slave, which is what all of the other people on the island were. And these two very young men, maybe 18 years old, they wanted to do it. They felt called, and they went, and they said, send us, we'll go. We will go to this horrible place and make it better. And I just prayed after I heard that podcast, and I was like, God, send me to help my daughter and to help these other kids. It is so hard to see because in the Facebook group that I'm in, these kids are dying. Like they're posting, he has 2 weeks left for a transplant or he's going to be gone. And they're posting, I mean, some of the images that I've seen that parents have sent me through talking to all of them, it's stuff that you'd never want to see in your whole life, like the huge distended tummies and the way they look after surgery, the way my daughter has looked after surgery, not able to walk even, and you have this precious 2-year-old and there's just nothing you can do, right? So, but it has made me realize that the people that want healing, they will find it. The people who don't give up, they will find the answers. They're willing to do whatever it takes, right? Like I've spoken to probably 50 MMIHS parents, and only 7 or 8 of them have actually done the protocol. All of them have seen healing. The ones who haven't, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I don't know why you wouldn't try for your child, but everyone has their reasons. And some people are just so indoctrinated that they can't see. There's a quote, I don't remember who it is, but there's 3 types of people in the world. There's those who see when shown, and those who can't see. And the people who see and the people who see when shown, there's hope for them. And the people who comment on the videos and say like, this is garbage, this is a lie, those are the people that can't see, and unfortunately they won't reap the benefits because they're closed-minded.
Right. Yeah, the people that can't see. Oh my goodness. I can't like I have family, a cousin that has type 2 diabetes, and the whole carnivore thing. It's like it would just be completely gone. And he lost his toe, he lost his foot, and the last time I saw him, he lost his leg at the knee.
Oh my gosh.
He's one that can't see. Still, he's just drinking Pepsi and eating birthday cake every time I see him. He's gonna lose his other foot. He's gonna lose his other leg. And it's like, how can you not? It's like, how can you not see this? It's just so clear.
Hmm.
It's just so sad though that there's actually parents that can't see this for their children, especially like it's the no gaps diet, right?
No plant gaps. Yeah.
No plant gaps. No plant gaps.
Hmm.
That seems so much like I could understand initially some hesitation when you say carnivore. Oh, that's insane. That's crazy. But no plant gaps diet. I'd be like, how about just an elimination diet? How about just try it? That's just heartbreaking that there's people out there that won't give it a try.
Today's video is sponsored proudly by ButcherBox. They recently launched a new initiative where you can support your local USA American farmers. Support American farmers with this new US pasture-raised beef from ButcherBox. This is USDA choice meat. Look at this ribeye, it's absolutely fantastic. The cows are never in feedlots. They're pasture raised, there's no antibiotics, no hormones. You're supporting a local American farmer. I get so many people asking me, how can I do that? Now you can do it with ButcherBox. There's more details, including a really special offer if you use the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now back to today's video.
Yeah, and you know what they've told me is it's terrible, but the parents will say to me, well, she's not going to live long anyway. Why would I not let her enjoy her life?
Oh,
And I'm like, she's not going to live long because you're feeding her mac and cheese from a box when she's dying of intestinal failure. And, you know, the hospitals are not much better. You go to the GI floor at CHOP. There are kids with my daughter's diagnosis that are eating pancakes with syrup. And I'm like, this child is going to die from this meal. Like,
that just drives me insane. That is so criminal. A big part of our documentary is cancer, and I lost a close friend to stage 4 cancer, and he had the same thing. He'd go in for treatment. Cancer feeds on glucose and sugar, and he'd go into treatment, and they're handing out cookies and biscuits and Ensure. But even just the regular hospital, and for these kids, oh my, they're going in there and just getting junk food. It's just absolutely, it's criminal, and it's also like, I don't know, my faith in humanity, like how dumb are we as humans? It's like just
yeah.
common sense. Like a kindergartner could figure some of this out. Why are you feeding these children that food? It's not even food. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and carnivore is great because it can fix so many things, right? Because it's like a total metabolic reset.
Right.
But, you know, even for the most extreme of cases, you can heal. Like everything that is an issue in the body is mostly like metabolic, right? Because there's an issue on the cellular level. Something's not functioning properly on a cellular level, just like in my daughter's body. But her diagnosis, what they told us was it's progressive and it's terminal. So what they're saying is it's going to get worse and worse and worse until she dies. If you can improve something, then it's not progressive. So this changes the entire diagnosis. It's not progressive and it doesn't have to be terminal. It's progressive and it gets worse because these kids are eating foods that's making their metabolic state and the functioning of their bodies worse. It's the same thing we're doing to healthy kids though. Kids are born healthy. Like people don't understand how lucky they are when they have a child that's not born with any health issues. That's like winning the lottery. Seriously. And then you take this healthy child and you take them out for pizza every day and you take them out for ice cream. And that might have been fine in the 1940s before seed oils came on the scene and processed sugar and like ultra processed food and glyphosate. But now, if you take a healthy child and feed them those things, they will have chronic disease. And people will say, my kid doesn't have any problems. And then you start talking to them and they go, yeah, my kid's been on steroids for 7 years because they have asthma. I'm like, this is someone I actually know. This is someone in my family whose 12-year-old has been on steroids, oral steroids, for 7 years.
Oh my goodness.
That is criminal. What happens when you're on steroids? Your immune system's suppressed and the damage that's being done to your cells continues to cause more damage, right? Because your immune system's not there to stop the problem. Asthma is happening because your lungs are in toxic overload and your lungs have to go in and repair themselves. So the lung function shuts down for a moment, it goes and all your cells go and repair. When you suppress that with steroids, the damage is still happening, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. When that child comes off of steroids, they will have a deadly asthma attack because the body will go, we need to fix all of this. There's so much toxic buildup in the lungs, we were never able to get it out.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize, but we're not understanding any of the root cause of disease, and that is toxins. So you can take a healthy child and make them unhealthy very quickly.
100%. And not treating the root cause, and let's find a medication to mask the root cause until the person gets so sick. And sadly, that person with the asthma, or the person diagnosed with cancer or type 2 diabetes, it's always presented in a way of, this is just you. You're just a fluke. There's just something weird about you that you have this asthma. And in every case, it's exactly like you said. It's metabolic. It's the food you're eating. All disease begins in the gut. But nobody gets that, and then they're told it's a fluke. It's almost like victim blaming, and then the person's just like, well, I guess the only thing I can do is take this medication. The other thing I wanted to say real quick too is getting diagnosed with something that's terminal and progressive is another thing that's criminal, in my opinion, of these doctors telling people things like this. Like, who are they to tell someone something's terminal? But it also, it's almost the same thing. Like, well, they're terminal. I guess there's nothing I can do now. I have to go with this. And when you tell someone they're terminal too, there's no hope.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of it. You, like, no matter what, if you have the worst cancer in the world and you're told it's terminal, there's nothing you can do about it. Just have some cookies and ensure. It's the worst thing in the world. You have to have hope if you're going to get through something like that. I used to hear that, Jessica, and be like, oh, that's just kind of like new age stuff. Oh, just have a positive mindset. But there's actually a lot of science behind it. If you're constantly stressed and worried that you're going to be dying, you release cortisol. It converts to glucose. That'll refeed your cancer. It'll perpetuate the problem. So it's just there's just so many things we're doing so wrong. Sorry, I'm going off on a rant now.
No, you're totally right. And I think it's also like when you're eating bad foods and your hormones are messed up, your stress level is way higher and your resiliency is lower. Right? So like my husband and we lived in the hospital for like 3 years. My husband is a business owner. He was managing his business from the hospital while our daughter, literally one time he was on a Zoom call and my daughter was having emergency surgery and I had to call him in the middle of a meeting and be like, you need to get over here. She's going into surgery right now. And he had no idea, right? Like just a level of stress no human being should ever have to go through. And then of course for her as well. Now that we've been doing carnivore and like ketovore for my husband, it's like we can handle anything. Our stress level is so low. And then now I started working out and my husband's like, wow, you're really not stressed out anymore. Like it just brings your cortisol is controlled. So these little situations, and I see this a lot in our society, people are like so worked up about little stuff. And it's like, man, you need to eat a steak and calm down.
Yeah.
Take some magnesium, like take a bath.
Maybe a good shirt. Take a steak and calm down. You're absolutely right. That carnivore zen, that just base is amazing. We've been hosting meetups all over the world, and it's so much fun just hanging out with other people that are just chill and relaxed like that, and they're not on edge.
Mhm.
On the flip side, though, does that make you, I don't know, look at humanity a little bit differently? It is kind of sad that the majority of humans walking around on the earth, they're experiencing the road rage and the anger and the stress and all of that.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
like
pretty much unnecessary. It's just because of the foods they're eating. They're inflamed and they're
yeah,
stressed and they're probably gonna go their whole it drives me insane that life is such a miracle. It's an amazing blessing that any of us are here. And so many people are gonna go through their entire life until the last day they take their last breath, and they're never gonna feel like you or I feel.
mhm.
Just calm and chill and living in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's also like a piece that comes like for me when I came to Jesus and became a Christian, I think there was also an overwhelming peace that came to me. But when you become a Christian, right? Like the Holy Spirit leads you to wisdom. And that's what gives you discernment. So this is funny. You're going to love it. The only parents who have ever tried this that have worked with me are Christians. Every single one. I've never had parents who are atheists or any other religion come to me and do it. And I think that that's a huge piece, right? Because there is a huge spiritual battle happening, and people have been talking about this more and more because people can see it, right? It's clear as day now. But the enemy doesn't want you to find the answers, so he'll do anything he can to lead you astray. People who have the Holy Spirit, they will find the answers if they're seeking them. Seek and you shall find, right? And that's when people come across your YouTube channel and Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker, and they start to have hope with their health. The people that are praying for answers, like this is the answers that most of them need. If they have a chronic, lifelong health condition, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. There are children that I work with that have ulcerative colitis. They get so much better so quickly. And some of these kids have ulcerative colitis from like 10 months old. And they improve so fast. And, you know, another part of it that I haven't really heard talked about on any of the other carnivore channels, and I was going to do a video about it myself, is like there's 3 main causes, I think, to the whole chronic disease epidemic. One is mold, and we don't talk about that. 2 is heavy metals, which I know most people know about that by now, and 3 is diet, right? But if you have environmental issues in your home, and this is something that I see, people will come to me. They've been on carnivore for a year, but they're still having psoriasis. And I'm like, you need to get your vents checked. You need to get your walls checked. And potentially you need to move out of your house because you could be reacting to your environment. That's like the last piece. So when people are not seeing progress on carnivore too, there's always another reason, because it is the proper human diet. So if you're not having perfect health on carnivore, you need to get checked for mold. And even the heavy metal issue, it will clear up on carnivore because you're opening up all your detox pathways when you're eating the right foods. So your body will get rid of those metals.
Right. That goes, I have the first principle kind of rule. It's like, why does carnivore work? Why does grounding work? Why do all these things work? And it's just like, whatever humans have done since the start of time is probably the key. And being surrounded in a house, rebreathing circulated air from my furnace with a dirty air filter and mold in the walls or who knows what, is something we haven't been doing since the start of time. I know that was a big part of Michaela Peterson's story too, with the mold. Yeah, all of these things that are just, that was my big epiphany after a while doing carnivore. I used to think carnivore was so crazy when I first started. And I'm like, this is just like the most natural thing we can do given all of the crazy options we have now. The only way to get more natural would be to get out of the house and like go
hunting yourself.
Yeah, spend more time outside. But
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we're literally like raw carnivore, which is props to those people because wow, that's impressive.
I've dipped my toes in, but yeah, I haven't done much of that yet. But baby steps. This is amazing, Jessica. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We're getting towards the end here. I just wanted to ask you, where can people find you and follow you and learn more about what you're doing?
So I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I have a Facebook page. I don't really post much. Mostly TikTok. Christian Health Collective is my TikTok. And my website is chealthcollective.org. So I started an organization called Christian Health Collective, and we have many practitioners on there, from lactation consultants to doulas to mental health coaches, myself, as well as nutritionists and trainers. So that is a good place to reach me. And also, my book is Dying to Thriving on Amazon, and that's my daughter's whole story in every gory detail.
Amazing. I will have links in the description for all of those things, and I'm going to go buy the book myself just after this. It's amazing what you're doing. I'm so happy that your daughter found healing and that you and your husband were able to find healing for her, but then also help spread this good word and help other, like, what bigger miracle in the world than to help some other children find the same healing your daughter did. That's just amazing. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Awesome. Hey, Jessica, before I end,
Mhm.
this has been great. Thank you so much. If there's anything I can do to like get the word out about what you're doing, I'm more than happy to shout it out. Or you said you were on with Dr. Chafee already, right?
Yeah, I was.
Awesome. I gotta check that. I didn't catch that one. I'll have to check that out. If you're, I've become good friends with some of these doctors, like Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Hampton and some of the others. So if you ever want to go on any of those, I'm happy to introduce you. Dr. Baker's really awesome too. He loves doing more interviews.
I was on his too.
Oh, nice.
I would love to talk to Dr. Ken Berry though. I haven't spoken to him yet.
I will. He's the hardest one to get a hold of. We just filmed him for the second time, and it was like a month of going back and forth. But I will definitely mention it to him and see. Um, I'll send him a link to this video we did together. I'll tell him because your story is amazing. I think it would definitely resonate with him
Mhm.
because he gets quite passionate talking about children also. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that because I'm like a very small creator and I don't really have a lot of followers, but like my goal really is to reach like the MMIHS families.
right,
Also, any parents who have terminal kids, I'm getting them from everywhere now. I can't even tell you. Like I have people from the Amish community. Like
wow,
somehow my name got to them. And now I'm getting phone calls like every couple days from Amish families that have kids who have terminal diagnosis who want to try what we did with my daughter. So they
I
don't.
don't know if you've seen this. Just real quick, have you seen this book yet?
No, I haven't.
If you get a chance, it just came out. It's called Return to Simple.
Let me write
This
it
lady, Kim Van Dula, she was going to the Amish communities to coach them on carnivore
down. You're
because
kidding me.
a lot of them don't have access to YouTube, right? So they're like, they don't
Yeah.
even know what it is. But she was going into the communities and she helped so many people. And then she's like, how can I reach more Amish? And she was praying about it. And she said, I know, I'll write a book. I can put it in all the Amish grocery stores and stores. So the book is so good. Like, I'm not just hyping it up. It's so good. Like, it really simplifies everything. A lot of like what you were saying as well, but it really simplifies everything. But yeah, it's called Return to Simple. It just came out on Amazon, and
I
huge
gotta
part of
read.
it was the Amish community.
Yeah, they don't get involved with doctors either because they're afraid of, you know, doctors are very much against the Amish community because
Yeah,
they don't follow their recommendations. So they call CPS all the time
yeah,
on Amish families. So that's why they're coming to me because they're like, we don't see doctors. Can you help me?
right.
And yeah, I'm gonna order that book. That's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Carrie. It was great to meet you.
You too. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.